In the next 30 seconds, do something about the despair of thinning hair, about the ticking clock, the inaction, hesitance, doubt, denial, despair, 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 despair.
Now then, alright, final monkey here. Yeah, well I've been watching the footy on BT Sports, you know, especially with Hartlepool United being in the playoffs. So for the last 3 weeks I've been watching it, and before the game, at half time, full time, 3 times at least every match. Don't despair, don't despair, don't give up on your hair. So I actually went out and I bought some of this stuff, and it seems to be doing the trick. I think it's making a difference. So yeah, I'm pleased. Yeah, advertising. I thought it was all a load of crap as well, advertising, but obviously not. So it's really good that I've got some hair as well, because we're starting off this week with the letters U and V with their heavy rock, heavy metal stuff, and you can't really do heavy metal without hair. I think hair is an important aspect of it, isn't it? So yeah, you got to have good hair. Just ask Yannick Gers, Iron Maiden. But this is Uriah Heep, very heavy, very humble. No H's in the heavy or humble, and that might be a little bit of a theme. The Hartlepool dropped H's this week, but this is Uriah Heep's first album, 1970, and it's just a cracking heavy rock album. I'd say it's somewhere probably between Deep Purple and Black Sabbath. It's and that's no bad thing, you know. It's between their sort of early stuff, in that it's a bit like Purple in that it's very much organ led. You've got a lot of keyboard in there, but you've also got these crunching guitar riffs, and yeah, it's got everything really. It's got your standard blues with great keyboard in it. That's Lucy Blue. It's got some real rockers like the first track, Gypsy. Got a brilliant guitar solo, wah guitar solo in I'll Keep Trying. And it's got the obligatory soft acoustic track that a lot of the heavy albums had on there, just to prove that the singer Dave Byron can really sing. So yeah, their first album, I didn't really stay with heavy metal. I didn't particularly like the sort of classic heavy metal sound that sort of evolved out of this. You can sense little bits of it here, but this is just as I say, you've got everything. It's a really, really good LP. They've been going 52 years. There's only the guitarist Mick Box still left from the original lineup, but cracking album. Uriah Heep, very heavy, very humble. And then talking about humble, and this one's for my mate Brian from Darlington, who was a bit disappointed that Humble Pie didn't feature under H. Well, of course, knowing I'm an Hartlepoolian, he ought to know where it would be. This is Humble Pie, performance, rocking the Fillmore. So it's a double live album, recorded in 1970-71, released in 71 at the Fillmore East in New York. And this is probably one of the greatest live albums of all time. It's certainly up there. It's up there with the very, very best that I've heard. I might, once I get through this alphabet, do a sort of feature on live albums, and I'm sure we'll come back to this, because this is an absolute cracker. It starts off with Steve Marriott with his brilliant Cockney accent, shouting "All right, all right, all right" at the New York crowd, but it just goes on to be absolutely sublime blues rock. Marriott's voice in absolutely brilliant form, Frampton's guitar superb, and the rhythm section really, really tight. It's just a really good LP. I mean, if you've got time, listen to all 4 sides of this. It really is. It's a joy to listen to. If you've got limited time, try sides 1 and 4. I mean, it ends with two great songs. The Hallelujah, the Ray Charles song, and I Don't Need No Doctor, Ashford and Simpson song. But sides 2 and 3 are long, extended versions of I Walk on Gilded Splinters and by Dr. John and Rolling Stone, Muddy Waters. But it's just an absolute cracker of an album. As I say, one of the best live albums, one of the very, very best. So give it a try. Humble Pie performance, rocking the Fillmore. The next one under you, The Undisputed Truth, and if only there was such a thing as undisputed truth. But yeah, it's a sort of fantasy, as you can see, with the band there as space travellers. They're all psychedelic sort of colours and everything, and this was a vehicle for Motown songwriter and producer Norman Whitfield, brilliant songwriter. He wanted to take some of the songs he'd written previously and had hits with, and he wanted to develop them into a more psychedelic, spacey sort of feel, and this was his vehicle, this band was his vehicle for doing that. And this is a sort of best of. I mean, there's an example of what he did with some of the sort of standard tracks. You can see what he did with Papa Was a Rolling Stone, obviously a hit for the Temptations, but he sort of took it to a slightly different area in this album. So I love this stuff, this Motown stuff, as you know, not everybody's cup of tea, but that's The Undisputed Truth from 1975. At least some of you I know will be pleased that I haven't pulled out any of my U2 albums for this, because they're one of the big beasts that I'm sort of trying to stay away from. But I know even the thought of Poor Bono sends some of you reaching for the whatever. But anyway, so we're going to move on quickly. Since I'm not going to draw on U2, I'm going to include V this week as well, and this is Suzanne Vega, eponymous debut album from 1985. And yeah, Suzanne Vega, you'll know her from a single which came later, My Name is Luca, I guess, but it's hushed, it's restrained, it's sort of folky, poppy stuff. It's got a pretty much 80s production feel, but despite that, which tends to put me off sometimes, despite that, these are really, really good songs. Suzanne Vega is highly literate. She's a little bit like Janice Ian, who we featured earlier, but also, you know, sort of echoes of Dylan Cohen in the literacy in her lyrics and everything. And I particularly like on here Small Blue Thing and Marlene on the Wall. Got a picture of Marlene Dietrich on her wall. But nice album, Suzanne Vega, a debut album from 1985. And then the last one this week, again the letter V. This is Tom Verlaine, Flashlight from 1987. Tom Verlaine was the leader, singer, guitarist with that fantastic band Television, post-punk band from the late 70s who had two brilliant albums, Marquee Moon and Adventure. And this is actually his fifth, I think, solo album. And this is just a really, really strong album. I think there's 10 tracks on here. And it's how would you describe it? Yeah, it's rock music. It's like Television. It features this sort of sharp, angular guitar. His voice is really strong on this album. The lyrics paint, for me anyway, sort of little cryptic pictures, vignettes that could mean anything or nothing. It's clever, it's sharp, it's tight, it's thought-provoking. I particularly like the opening track, Cry Mercy Judge, Town Called Walker, a song called Song, and then The Scientist Writes a Letter, and then At 4 AM. Really all of the tracks, and I think it's one of those that the more you listen to them, the more they sort of worm into you and they get you thinking about them, and so it's a grower, definitely. Maybe not the catchiest or easiest of initial listens, but give it a go. Good stuff. Tom Verlaine, Flashlight, 1987. So I won't be posting for a couple of weeks. I'll keep going with the hair restorer and see how that goes, and see you when I get back with the letter W, which should be a cracker. Alright, cheers.